Hi everybody. So Wendy and I are, me, going on a bit of a mission. So we're going to be exploring the ketogenic diet. Wendy is currently just completed your first of your 6-week course for going keto.
Yeah.
And as part of that, we're going to use me as a guinea pig as I experiment moving on to the ketogenic diet.
Yay! It's going to change your life.
Yeah, I hope so. So Wendy is going to debrief with me after every session, and then we're going to start me. So we're going to do a live consultation with me, and then we're going to take some stats, like you've got your blood pressure monitor and your blood glucose monitor, and then I'm going to get one of those continuous glucose things that you stick in your arm, and then we're going to then debrief at the end of the course and just see what's happened and what's changed with my health. So yeah.
You're a very good guinea pig.
Quite exciting and terrifying because I'm going to have to give up sweets.
And I mean, you're pretty good. You're good all day, aren't you?
It's the evening, isn't it? It's the sitting down on the sofa. Ugh.
When the children have gone to bed. Because your children don't eat sugar. You don't allow them to eat sugar.
No.
Because you don't want them to have
the addictions and the issues that I have with sugar, yeah. So on that note, should we just talk about what sugar addiction is? Because you've got your own story with sugar addiction.
Yeah, I mean, I am a sugar addict. I think it was my first addiction. I think it is the first addiction. I said tonight that sugar is a very pretty poison. It comes in a pretty packaging, but it probably causes more damage than all of the other illicit drugs worldwide.
They talk about it being more addictive than cocaine, right?
Yeah, and I think it is. When I've worked with people before with sugar addiction, I've worked with people that have come out of rehab for alcoholism and heroin addiction, and I had one gentleman who had given up heroin, and he said giving up sugar was worse.
It's harder, yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
I think it's worse as well because it's so socially accepted, isn't it? It's and it's everywhere.
For me, it's fascinating with children, just generically with all children, not singling out anybody. It's just culturally, we reward them with sugar. You know, you've done a great job, have some sweets, or happy birthday, have a cake. Or then we also self-soothe, oh, you've had a really bad day, let's go get a McDonald's. I don't know, you know, so culturally, right from a very young age, we're rewarded with, you know, sugar and carbs and all these ultra processed things. And so, yeah, for me, like I say, I don't give my children sugar. And they're actually okay with it because they don't know any different.
Yeah.
But they are the only children at school that are like that. And it's been a bit baffling for the school even. And I mentioned earlier, you know, today it's the new school year. My daughter started their first full-time day there today in Year R. And they sent out a thing about healthy diets and healthy eating. And there was a whole section in there about reducing sugar for children. And then at lunchtime on the menu every single day is cake. And I'm like, and also then, so they've then had like pasta or pizza or jacket potato and then a cake.
So it's all carbohydrates, which people don't realise. When you ingest carbs, they turn into sugar. So you may not be eating. I mean, I say to a lot of people, about sugar, and they'll say, oh no, I don't have sugar. And what they mean is they don't add sugar to their tea.
Yeah.
But they don't realise that sugar is in everything. Most packaged food is going to be containing sugar, even if it's not sugar, it's carbohydrate.
Even if it doesn't say sugar on the label, carbohydrates turn into sugar.
That's right.
So can you explain that? Because you talked about that when we just did the presentation.
Yes, so carbohydrates are long-chain polysaccharides. Poly meaning many, saccharides meaning sugar. So long-chain sugar molecules basically is what carbohydrates are. And as soon as you ingest any carb, whether that be potato, so starch, or whether that be pasta, rice, as soon as you ingest it, they're broken down by the natural digestive process into simple sugars. So they raise your blood sugar. So they cause a release of insulin, which we'll learn about insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome, not next week, the following week. So we'll talk more about that. But yes, the macronutrient carbohydrates is essentially sugar.
And that's what I mean. People don't realise what sugar actually is. They're just thinking physical spoons of sugar. Yeah. But even when you just think about physical sugar, I know from having children that are sugar-free, like it's in everything anyway. Like you might get a little yogurt, like one of those petit falou things, and people, because it's marketed as a good source of calcium, great for your bones. But then actually, that there's like a whole teaspoon of sugar just in one of those little things.
Those little tiny ones,
yeah. You know, so it's in everything, and people, unless you really study the labels, they don't know. And even when you study the labels, sometimes you still don't know because you don't know what else it might be called.
Yeah,
or what other form it might come in.
Sugar, essentially anything ending with the letters O-S-E, O's, is sugar. So glucose, maltose, dextrose, galactose, fructose.
What about lactose?
Lactose is milk sugar. So it's a sugar.
Can you have that on a ketogenic diet?
You can have dairy on a ketogenic diet, but you're advised not to have too much milk, because it does contain lactose. So it's better to have high-fat Greek yogurt or cheese.
Yeah, I saw on the triangle that you were showing us that the cheese was on
Cheese is at the top, yeah.
So I was really interested to see that versus the food plate, the healthy food plate. So do you want to talk about the healthy food plate?
Yes, I don't call it that. We won't say what I call the healthy food plate, but yeah, I mean the guidelines that we've been told about what we should eat as a healthy, balanced diet is quite shocking to know that they're not based in science. They were based on very bogus science, if you can call it that, which was back in the late 1950s, where a gentleman called Ansel Keys went and did a study where he asked different countries around the world via a food frequency questionnaire what they ate over the past year or over the past 6 months. And then he correlated the amount of fat that they ate with the amount of heart disease. And he basically picked the 7 countries that fitted his hypothesis or his guess. So on his nice bell graph, he had Japan down the bottom, who eat the least amount of saturated fats and had the less amount of heart disease. And then right at the top of the graph was America. They ate the most amount of saturated fats and have the most heart disease. So you'd think, oh, well, that sort of proves it. But he omitted the data from about another 17, I can't work out the maths, countries that didn't fit. So, for example, countries such as France, who we all know eat a lot of fat in their diet. They love their cheese, they love their cream, they eat a lot of red meat. And actually heart disease rates in France are really, really low.
So it doesn't correlate, so he
omitted the data. And I mean, that's anybody, basic GCSE science would tell you that you can't do that. That's not allowed.
Yeah, it's the model that we now use.
Yes.
So the one thing that you said, I wrote it down because I took some notes because I'm very studious. Do the opposite of what you know about good diet.
Yes.
So that food plate is what we know about a good diet. So then talk to me about the opposite of that.
So instead of having a third of your plate as carbohydrates, essentially sugars, we should be eating, essentially a ketogenic diet would be about 70% of your calories, your intake would come from healthy fats.
Healthy fats being?
Fats from not vegetable seed oils, so not liquid seed oils, so no canola, sunflower oil, everything that we've been taught, essentially do the opposite. So healthy fats would come from animal products, so dairy, cheese, butter, ghee, avocados, saturated fats in the form of fatty meats, lard, beef dripping. Essentially everything that you've been told is wrong.
Yeah, so take, you know, when you said beef dripping, I haven't had that for years, but it's really good on toast. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, I remember my grandparents and my great-grandparents, they would have dripping on toast.
Yeah, that's what I used to have at my nan's.
Yeah.
Bloody loved it. Delicious.
Yeah.
I can't eat the toast now because I'm gluten-free and I'm about to be keto.
And you're about to be keto.
But yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Sorry.
Well, the premise that fat, particularly saturated fat, causes heart disease is really where this low-fat paradigm came in. And it came in the late 70s, early 80s. So the dietary guidelines came in 1977. But if you look at the health of the populace since then, particularly the obesity levels, I gave the statistics, I can't remember them, but I think in 2010, over a third of the population are obese.
Yeah, by 2010, and then it's like 14 years later now, so who knows what it is.
Yeah, so it's probably much higher than that. But in 1977, I think it was 12% of the population.
It was lower than that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was,
yeah. But that then correlates with the introduction of ultra-processed foods.
Yeah, and so if you have a low-fat diet, essentially your calories therefore are going to be coming from carbohydrates. So low fat means high carbohydrates, and it's the high carbohydrates in the form of refined flours, processed foods, refined sugars that really add to weight gain, but also type 2 diabetes.
Talk about calories, because we're all told, you know, low calories and lots of activity. That's what's going to, you know, if we're talking about losing weight, that's what's going to cause us to lose weight, right?
Yeah, so this is the calories in, calories out model. So basically, it can be summed up in eat less, move more. And that has really been promoted because it really puts the impetus on you. If you're overweight, it's because you're a glutton or you're lazy.
Yeah.
And so food companies like Coca-Cola, who sponsor the Olympics, it's in their interest for you to believe that. So eat what you like, just do more exercise. So eat our diabetes water, drink our drinks, just do more exercise. But actually, it doesn't take into account that humans have hormones. They have their metabolic rate, and it's not as simple as eat less, move more. That definitely is part of it. But when the food companies are producing foods that are essentially addictive, people can't moderate. I can't moderate. You know, I mean, if you don't believe that sugar is addictive, give it up for a month. Like Luke is going to. Join Luke and you tell us that it's not addictive, because it is incredibly difficult.
We've just been having this conversation actually. So I've been reducing my sugar gradually for the last couple of weeks because I've been having blood pressure issues. And I thought, well, maybe, you know, that could be a reason. And I'm going to go on Wendy's keto course anyway. So it's a good time to do it. But now I've started experiencing some symptoms a bit like anxiety attacks. And we, in just having this conversation before we came on camera, have just established that we think that's withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah, I mean, so sugar withdrawal can be quite difficult because we medicate with sugar or food to soothe ourselves. So if we haven't got that crutch, then a lot of emotion is going to come up that we would push down with food. So you're having to deal with those emotions now. I mean, it may be that, it might be something else, but
it seems to correlate at the moment because it's literally I started reducing sugar significantly about 2 weeks ago. And
from what to what? So tell me how much sugar you were consuming.
It was the majority of my diet.
What?
It's really bad. Well, you know me, right? I have an allergy to fruit and veg.
Yeah.
Right? So that for me already causes issues because I don't know how I'm going to react every time I eat that. So, okay, so we cut out that. Already not very healthy. I do eat quite a lot of meat products, but then, and I have a lot of dairy, but like more than meat, I have a lot of milk. But then I've just been on this, like, because I had stomach surgery about 6 months ago, suddenly I'm able to eat all these things that I wasn't able to eat before that would always make me feel unwell. And so I've allowed myself like this period of gluttony, really, where I've just been stuffing my face with sugar.
And sweets, biscuits, what?
Yeah, like Lidl's peach rings are just perfection.
Lidl's peach rings.
So good.
Right.
Just little sugary peach rings, like a bit like Haribo.
And how would you eat a whole packet, a couple of packets?
Oh no, a whole packet in one sitting would make me twitch. Yeah, but like, you know, I could go half a packet in an evening. But I would sit down every single evening. We've got this kind of blue basket at home, just full of sweets. And I would just sit and just all night long on those sweets every single evening.
And you sleep?
Yeah.
You can sleep on that?
Yeah, but I don't have caffeine, so I don't know. So that would be one thing. But then quite often I'd just go to the fridge and grab some chocolate. Or I got on a real binge eating cereal thing recently, didn't I? And the bloody gluten-free cereals got me. So, you know, I was having then cereal for breakfast, pop into the fridge every 5 minutes for a bit of chocolate, and then sitting down in the evening and eating from that basket.
Peach rings.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I mean, you probably have. So the average standard amount of sugar, I think it's 300 grams of sugar. Daily is what most people would consume.
It's a lot.
It's really a lot.
Yeah, and I don't put it in I don't drink tea really. Well, not like British tea, but I don't ever put sugar in stuff like that. And I don't drink fizzy drinks. I do like a ginger ale, but that's like once a week at the most. But yeah, I don't really. I mostly just drink water and coffee.
Do you know what I think would be really useful? So when we do our consultation before the class next week, could you bring in
some peach rings?
Yeah.
Oh, I can manage that.
Or just the packet.
Yeah.
So then maybe we could work out how much sugar you are consuming.
Yeah. I was thinking that when I've got that glucose monitor on, I should eat some and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that would be really helpful because then you'll see, like, it's normally about half an hour after you've eaten that your glucose would spike.
It would be interesting. But what I've done now is I've been really significantly cutting down, and I've got myself now. I don't eat because I'm gluten free, so I don't have like breads and things anyway. So I'm not getting it from the carbs necessarily, although I do have rice and potatoes. But I've now cut down to one sugary thing a day. So that's you can get those little bars of dark chocolate. They're 17%. So I have one of them a day now. Or like
so you've significantly.
And yesterday I had like one of those tiny magnums on the stick, you know.
And does that satiate you, or does that create the sugar monster?
Weirdly, because I think I've been having these kind of anxiety feelings and blood pressure issues, I've been okay with not having it, and I'm actually eating it now to get rid of it. Because it's our basket. Funnily enough, we have games night every Thursday, but we did it because I'm here now on Thursdays. We've moved it to Wednesday. So last night we get games night. We get out the basket. The basket, there was nothing in there. It was one pack of peach rings. That was all that was in there. And I've been saving those because they're like, I know they're going to be my last thing, and I want to finish on a high.
Yeah.
So I'm saving.
See,
those
that's
peach rings
really
for the end.
good because I can't moderate. If I was to it, I wouldn't be able to put half a pack of. If I liked peach rings, I would eat the whole pack.
Yeah, but I guess I can moderate in that sense. But what I was doing there was no moderation involved. I just wasn't eating a whole pack of those. I was like eating from this packet and this packet and this packet and this packet. You know, but the other thing I've also tried to change up. Like I'm really into pistachios at the moment.
Yeah.
So a lot of the eating is habitual. I need to be doing the eating motion, a bit like when people quit smoking but they still want to hold something in their fingers.
Well, pistachios are good because you've got to open them from the shell, you know, so
like
it slows you down.
experience.
Yeah, it slows you down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a better option.
Yeah, so I've been trying to do that. And actually, but it's been going really well, but I think I'm having withdrawal symptoms. I think is what I'm experiencing.
Well, we made Luke a special tincture.
Yeah.
Show the tincture.
Da-da-da. So in here is
Motherwort,
Leonoris,
Leonoris, Passiflora, Matricaria, and skullcap. So chamomile, motherwort, passionflower, and Scutellaria skullcap. So that's going to keep you calm.
Yes. So hopefully, if I'm having a moment, I'm just going to neck some of this.
You're not going to neck it. You're going to
few drops. I know. Yeah. It's not a shot.
It's not a shot.
And yeah. Hopefully that's gonna. By the time
Well,
I see
I'm
you next
very
week.
impressed with your notes. Look at all the notes that he took from tonight's class.
These are the things that we're going to discuss today. So let me just run through those and make sure we've done them. Right. I liked what you said about herbs may help the symptoms, but they won't cure the disease. You need to do the dietary change.
Absolutely. I mean, as a herbalist, I feel like I could do myself out of business if people adopted this diet. Because people are always going to have acute infections, but I'm talking about the chronic, long-term illnesses that people suffer with more and more in the modern world. You could change all of that if you get your diet right, without a doubt.
So one of my friends who's a counsellor, she says, my aim is to make myself redundant, which is her aim is to make sure that person is fit and well enough to go back out into the world and no longer requires the services. And then tell other people that they then come.
Yeah.
And that's kind of similar for you, because that just shows that you have integrity. You know, if you can do this and you can give somebody a diet that's going to make them,
then they don't
need you anymore.
Yeah.
That shows your level of integrity. But what also that does is that then other people go, I want to work with her.
Well, I hope so, because I don't want to give symptomatic medicine that people are just going to need. I mean, there will be people that want that. There are people that don't want to change their diet, and that's fair enough. I mean, they're not ready. You know, you have to be really ready.
Readiness is so important, because I haven't been ready to go sugar-free forever, and you've been nagging me to do it for years. And I haven't been ready.
No, I was actually quite surprised, but you've put it on Facebook now.
I know, I've committed. But I do feel ready, because I've never had blood pressure issues before, and it scares me a little bit. So yeah, I now I'm ready. Like when I came to you to do gluten-free, I was ready then, and I did it, and I did it 100%, and I've never gone back. And so, but you have to get to that point of readiness. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with me, with sugar, since I went on a low-carb ketogenic diet, I have never had any sugar since, because I know what an addict I was, that it would just snowball for me.
I'm not going to give you a peach ring then.
No, don't give me a peach ring. I'll be eating it all. I call it carb crack. It literally is. I am what's the Cookie Monster? You know, like it's, you just can't get enough. I can't moderate. I'm that kind of binge eater. So that's why I've never gone back.
You talked about how addictive it was for you, that you would put half a cake in a bin and then go back and fish it out.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, how embarrassing. I would do that.
Yeah,
I would hide wrappers.
Yeah.
I would eat on my own. You know, I remember eating on my own in my bedroom because I'd stolen a whole packet of penguins. Do you remember those? They came in these big...
Pick up a penguin.
Yeah, I think it was like an 8-pack and I ate the whole lot, and it made me feel sick, and I wasn't even enjoying it towards the end. But I had in my head, well, I need to eat the whole packet because maybe my dad would forget that he bought them. And then I hid the wrappers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's total addict behaviour.
That's the truth of the addiction, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It fascinates me, and I get wound up about it because my children are sugar-free. I'm like, why would you? You know, everybody knows that sugar's not healthy. And everybody knows that sugar's addictive. But
I don't think they do.
Do they not?
Honestly, I don't think they do.
But then I think, well, to me, it's like clear as day. But anyway, maybe not everyone has that level of common sense. But like, everybody knows sugar's not healthy. Surely everybody knows sugar's not healthy.
Well, you'd think so, wouldn't you, for what it does to your teeth?
Yeah.
I mean, teeth enamel is the hardest substance in the human body, isn't it? Like, it's really difficult. Coca-Cola dissolves teeth. We've done that experiment, you know, like you could put a tooth in Coca-Cola.
I've heard
and
of
it does. If it does that to your teeth...
Well, you use it to clean the toilet, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
But so from my perspective, I'm like, if you know that that substance is unhealthy and addictive, why are you giving it to the things that you love the most in the world? The little beings, your children that you love the most in the world. Why are you giving it to them? I don't get it.
I think it's just so socially acceptable. It's a treat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I joked about, well, it's not a joke actually. I was saying about at the end of this course, you will all become trolley snobs. And what I mean for that is when you go shopping, you will look at people's trolleys in a totally different way and become quite snobbish about it. You cannot help it because once you know this, it's so obvious.
It is so obvious, and it is really hard to not be judgy, because I'm being judgy, sat here judging people that are giving their children sugar. I get it. It's really hard to, and it's hard to not judge people's trolleys. But I guess when you know and you're on the other side of that knowing, you just, it upsets me to see it being so normalised. That's what upsets me, I think.
Well, and you know, these chocolatey cereals are promoted to children. You know, that cereal, is it Crave, which basically is chocolate for breakfast. I mean, I used to say to my son, chocolate for breakfast, so he never had those.
But even the name Crave,
I mean, they're telling
you what it is.
Yeah, they're absolutely, I mean, they're
That's what
telling
it says
you.
in the tin. It was actually in the Ultra Processed People book, wasn't it, about Cocoa Pops and how one serving of Cocoa Pops, bearing in mind, you know, the average serving size is
30 grams.
You normally would have double.
Yeah.
But there's more salt in that 30 gram of Cocoa Pops than there is in the whole microwave lasagna.
Unbelievable, isn't it? And that's because the salt mediates the sugar sweetness taste, so that you can eat more of it.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, once you know, it's hard not to judge. So we don't mean to be judgy. Look, I still have taken my children to McDonald's. It's all good. Like, sometimes you just got to go through that drive-through. Let's keep it real. But yeah, for sure, I think that if we can generate awareness about the dangers and the addictive nature of it, then hopefully in time people will start to make better choices.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think you're really brave putting yourself out here. We will be with you every step of the way. But it is a process and it is really difficult. The cravings for sugar can be really difficult to overcome. And there are withdrawal symptoms. I mean, we call it the keto flu. And the symptoms can be very like having the flu, you know, headaches, muscular aches, sweating, and feeling generally, you know, quite poorly. Usually only lasts for a few days, but, you know.
I reckon that's what's going on with me at the minute. I reckon it's that withdrawal process. Anyway, so let's see. So next week, I think we've just agreed that, so we're going to, this is every Thursday.
Yeah.
Next Thursday, before we do
the class,
course,
yeah,
we're going to go live and do a herbalist consultation with me. So Wendy's going to do that, and then we're going to do some measures. I think I'm literally going to like measure my waist and stuff as well, and see what shape. I'll do the whole lot.
Blood pressure,
And then every Thursday,
we'll do a debrief.
We'll do a debrief after the class, so you'll see us twice next Thursday, before and after the class. And then at the end of the 6 weeks, we'll do like another one where we just do all my measures again.
Yeah.
That sound right?
And then, you know, we'll see how people respond to the class. But I would really like to do like a regular meetup, you know, like in a support group. Perhaps we could meet, maybe even if it was just once a month, and share recipes and just chat.
I love that. Oh, and we might even have a guest with us next week.
Oh yes, yes.
So a guy called Liam, who's on the course. We did ambush him a bit, so he may change his mind.
Yeah, he's really interesting, lovely guy.
Yeah, and had his own personal experience with going keto. So he might join us next week to talk about his experience.
Yeah.
Cool.
Stay tuned then. Yeah. Yes.
So we'll see you again.
See you next week.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Oh, I'm tired.